Hey, howdy ho, all you beautiful motherfuckers, and welcome back today to the $2 Film Club. And guys, we got a special treat for you. We're actually doing a film that came out recently. I know. Put down the cameras, put down the speakers. You're chanting. But I don't know. Leo and I were talking about it. We were gonna do the for Superman Returns and Man of Steel as like a
All
continuation.
the shitty ones.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
the shitty one. We'll get to that at some point. I wouldn't say all is shitty, um, but people's opinions on Superman Return has changed a lot since I've last seen it. So I'm curious to go back to that one in particular,
How long has it been since you've seen it though?
like 2010, bro.
Oh, so like when it first came out.
Yeah. Like when I first saw it in the theaters, or like 2008
It's
or
not that
whenever.
good, but yeah, like you said, we're gonna
Um,
do that in sometime in August.
But I thought it would be interesting for me and you to talk about this because when we were planning for what to do in the future, we talked about the Marvel films and like Fantastic Four that we're doing next week. Not the new one, but the older ones we'll be talking about next week. Spoiler alert, I guess, for that. But yeah, I don't know. This kind of just felt like a movie that we needed to talk to, especially with the new like DC universe being built with James Gunn. And
Well, I
like I
mean,
know,
this is the first time you and I have like seen the same movie at the same time, practically.
I mean, recently, yeah, me and you have seen a few of the movies like before we started doing the podcast. But like this is the first time with the podcast we're able to see like the same movie on the weekend. And honestly, I think it works out because this movie is I don't know. I don't know how to describe this movie. This is the first time I'm gonna say spoiler warning, just because it's still out in theaters,
Yeah,
and
this
I'm
one
not
definitely deserves a spoiler
I'm not
warning.
like a big spoiler person, like outside of the first weekend, but like with I think
We're gonna
because
spoil some
films,
shit.
yeah, we're gonna spoil a lot of shit because I still think a lot of the things in this film are kind of crazy in their own right. But let's just get into
In
it.
most of a good
I
way,
don't
I think.
I don't know what to like tackle first. What do you want to tackle first?
Fuck, that's a good question. Let's see. It's so weird talking about a movie that's like, I mean, obviously, like you and I have talked about certain things, but for like mentioning them on the podcast, I don't know where to start. Like, I mean, I guess overall, like, what did you think of the film? Like, did you like it? Was it everything you wanted it to be?
So I guess like I was way more excited. I don't want to say way more excited, but like I kind of felt like I was inspired to see what would come next from this DCU because I really
Hmm.
love James Gunn. While I feel kind of weird about that second Guardians film, I like the Guardians films. I like what he's done outside of that in terms of writing and directing. So for me,
You talking about Scooby Doo?
Scooby Doo, Slither. He wrote the Dawn of the Dead movie that Zack Snyder directed that everyone laughs at out. Like, so he's done a lot of stuff that I was interested in, and like I've been a big supporter. He did that like Superman esque film Brightburn
Oh yeah, yeah.
back in 2018. I think we spoke about it before on the podcast. And did I ever tell you about how after that I got out of that film and like when I was back in New York, um, what is like that big film grading website that comes out every weekend that gives it a score? Is it
IGN,
Cinema Scores?
or
No,
you
not
talking about the counterpart to like Rotten Tomatoes,
yeah, like where people are sitting
Metacritic?
outside the yeah, where people are like sitting outside the theater and they get your opinions like right out of the
Oh,
screening.
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and
I don't know what it's
so
called, but I know what you're talking
I
about.
don't know if I ever told you this, but after I got out of Brightburn, I went to see it with my grandmother. They handed me the iPad, putting like asking all these questions about what I rated, what I liked, what I disliked. I gave it a 2 out of 10. I'm like, what the fuck was James Gunn going for in this film? If he just wanted to make a bad Superman film, he should have just made a Superman film.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
I just find it ironic looking back at that now because this was like I don't remember if this is when he was having like the controversy for like all of his social media stuff where he got fired on Guardians 3 for.
With Brightburn or working on Superman?
No, just like I don't know if they were two events simultaneously happening at the same time. Like Brightburn was coming out because he didn't direct it, but I'm pretty sure he produced, wrote it. Um,
Hold on, let me see.
Around that sphere. Um, but regardless, I was excited because it had something to do with James Gunn, and I like James Gunn. I like his dirty humor. I think it's funny. I know it's not for everybody, but the Superman trailers didn't do it for me. So I was kind of
Mm.
indifferent on it going in.
So yeah, to go off of the Brightburn thing, so he only produced it. He didn't have anything to do with the writing, which
Okay,
probably explains a lot.
I knew he
Um,
either produced or wrote it, like one of the
yeah,
two.
I knew he produced it. I just didn't know if he wrote any of it, but I think some of his family members did. Brian and Mark Gunn did.
Oh yeah,
Um,
his brothers.
yeah,
Shocker.
I've never seen Brightburn. It looked mildly interesting when I saw the trailer, but I wasn't invested enough in
It
it to
doesn't
go
do
see it.
anything interesting with an evil Superman kid.
I do know that you and I talked about like leading up to the release of Superman that some of the trailers looked a little weird. I will say, like, I'm mostly in just how they were edited, and I think the editing of the trailers for the most part didn't suit his action style. You know what I mean? And so some of those things looked a little wonky, and obviously he's using a lot of like wider angle lenses and all that shit. And the camera's much more movement focused, which it didn't bother me while I was watching the movie, but when I watched like that last trailer and some of it looked a little weird, you and me were like kind of watching it at the same time, and we were just had really weird reactions to what we were seeing. But I was still excited, and I really wanted to see this movie in the first couple of weeks of its release.
Yeah, no, like I always think too that it's Superman. I'm always gonna be optimistic in some regard that, especially with like a new, fresh mind. I think the biggest issue with Superman going into it was I don't know why people keep saying it's the start of the DCU, and I know James Gunn has said that multiple times. But he made the Creature Commando show that takes place in the same universe.
Mm.
What's his name's character? The Sir
Peacemaker.
Flag? No, not Well, yeah, Peacemaker, but Sir Flag or the military guy that
Oh, Colonel Flag.
Frank Grillo. Yeah, he's in Creature Commandos.
Yeah.
And like, do you know who his character is in terms of
Yeah.
like the universe?
He's Rick Flag's father, right?
Yeah, okay. I don't know how many people get that knowing because he's such a inconsequential part of the story that you could literally pluck him out and put any other character in. But
Of
I
this
think
movie.
yeah, but I think him being part of the Creature Commandos, at least for me watching it, added a little bit more depth that I
Mm.
thought it was interesting seeing him connect, even though in the show he's like all white haired and looks like he could be like
Completely
55,
different.
60. Yeah, I mean, I'm that's whatever, but yeah, I think this film just has a lot of different expectations to set up that I think that like Man of Steel and the original Superman and even Superman Returns had.
Well, you think that this has the same issues, or?
No, different like expectations
Oh,
in terms of what those three
well,
had.
I mean, it's just when Superman Returns was coming out, everyone was sort of expecting it to, revive the franchise because up to that point we'd had Superman 3, which is not a good movie, as we talked about that last week. But also, you have the Canon Studios Superman 4. I don't remember what the fucking subtitle is, but it's something stupid. I
The
remember.
Quest for Peace, baby.
Oh yeah, the Quest for
Because
Peace.
Christopher Reeves just wanted to, bro. Okay, this is just a fun fact about that movie. Christopher Reeves only agreed to do it if they had made the villain like some type of nuclear powered being, so
Mm.
he could have like his own film talking about nuclear war in the current like political climate. And like, there's like hours upon hours of monologues cut of Superman just going on about how bad nuclear weapons are for the world. I just think that's funny because he's like a big nuclear activist too.
Mm.
So the knowing that about the quest for peace is just super funny, I think. But I digress. Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you, Leo.
No, 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 you're good. I mean, yeah, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna talk about the Superman 4 and Returns and all that stuff. But yeah, you're right. Everything has expectations. So yeah, with Superman Returns, it was trying to get away from the more campy style of Superman 3 and Superman 4. And then with Man of Steel, because Superman Returns didn't do very well, it was again trying to not only revive like the Superman character, but also that is when it really became about like the friend, like sorry, that's when it really became about the interconnected like cinematic universe stuff because they were trying to compete with Marvel. And so with that one you have the expectation of it, reinventing Superman, reinventing the universe for, all of the characters to be in the take place in the same world. And that's kind of similar with this one. It's just now now it's trying to be less, like I said last time, gritty and edgy because of the whole like Snyderverse shit. And I can kind of enjoy some of the Snyderverse stuff. Man of Steel isn't my favorite movie, but it's not the worst movie I've ever seen. There's just certain things that I take issue with while watching it. And then obviously the DCEU as a whole is a is a mixed bag. There again, there's some movies that I like, some that I don't. I like the director's cut of Justice League, but again, none of the movies are perfect, and this one isn't either. I just kind of think that going into this one, there's a bigger expectation of like officially starting like the movie universe stuff, if that makes sense. Like I get that Creature Commandos and Peacemaker are all technically a part of the same universe and were released before this, but at the same time, more people are going to be interested in watching this than going and watching those.
Yeah, and I think the tallest task that I think this film has that the other ones didn't have is not only is it like trying to build a universe, but it's trying to fix a brand reputation at the same time.
It's
Like,
the same thing with Superman Returns.
I don't think in like the that's just trying to fix Superman's perception on the public. They Warner Brothers did a number on the Flash, Batman, like all their staple characters
Yeah,
that
and
now it
most of
kind
them
of feels
didn't do
like
very well.
exactly. No, most of them didn't do well. Look at how bad that fucking Flash movie came out. Like the first Wonder Woman's decent,
Yeah,
sure,
I think
but
that's the only one that's like
you can
universally
maybe
beloved.
consider that's the only one that I think you can only consider good by any means necessary. But then 1984 is an absolute shit fest. Like
Okay, it's not that bad, but
I it
I
doesn't
get
do
that
any
people don't
justice
like.
for it doesn't do any
Yeah,
justice for anybody,
yeah,
and so I just think a lot of those films
justice, no pun
ruin the
intended.
reputation for the DC brand outside of like the you know what? I'll say I was gonna say Snyder fans, but I'm just gonna call them cultists at this point because it's a fucking cult, bro. I'm sorry. It's such a diluted subgroup of people at this point that
Mm.
I go on X Twitter and I'm like, dude, how are you still going on about this? Checks calendar since 2016. 2017, sorry.
Is that when
2016,
Justice League came out?
2017. It came out in November of 2017, but all of this stuff happened in 2016. You know,
I think the problem is that everyone hated the theatrical version of Justice League so much, and rightfully so, but that they just got this idea in their head that the Snyderverse movies weren't that bad, and they are. They are pretty like Batman v Superman is just one of the worst piles of shit that I've ever watched. And like I said earlier, I like the director's cut of Justice League, and I don't know if they had released that version, obviously not the 4 hour version, but if they had just let Zack Snyder do what he wanted, I don't know if I don't know if they'd feel the same way, if that makes sense. Because it's just because Justice League was so bad, everyone just wants to delude themselves that the Snyderverse was never that bad.
because like even on top of all the Snyder issues, like the production for Justice League was an awful disaster. It just turned into like one giant sexist cesspool with Joss Whedon. Like
Yeah.
So like the brand was so tarnished, not from just the films and the characters' perspectives themselves, but just from what went on behind them that everyone knows about. That especially like James Gunn is also like not someone who hasn't gone through the ringer. Like I'd mentioned, like all of the stuff with his tweets before, like people call him the P word. Like there's so many things that people call him and be like, this is the guy that you choose over Zack Snyder. So it's not like it was an easy comeuppance, like having James Gunn come in on top of all the Warner Brothers things. Like there's so many things that were just like going on at the within the past 5 to 7 years of DC that I think wasn't always directly consequential of what Zack Snyder created. I just think
Hmm.
everything just clobber onto each other at the right time and just like didn't help anybody. You know?
Yeah, and obviously all of that combined just created the massive cesspool that became the DCEU. Because you've got Snyder releasing, the first two entries being Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman, and those ones didn't do as well critically or probably box office wise. And so then you have all of the execs who are like, okay, well, we're clearly something's not working, and they're trying to actively compete with the MCU, which is making big box office numbers. And so they're just trying to force onto Zack Snyder something that clearly he doesn't want to do. And those two competing ideas just made everything worse. And that all of that going into, and we didn't really get into it as much because obviously it's easier to talk about with like the movies that aren't as well received. But I mean, a little bit with like the Sal Kynes and Superman, the first two or the first three movies, like their management of that franchise was just really poor. But then you get into like Warner Brothers fully taking control of everything and all of their like I think that's the biggest problem with this franchise and the DC um, characters on screen is that Warner Brothers just never knows what to do with them, and they're constantly making poor creative decisions. And you really see that with Superman Returns, and then all of them, all of the fucking planned Superman movies that never saw the light of day. You've got the infamous Superman Lives, and then you've
Love
got
it.
J.J. Abrams' Superman Flyby that turned into Superman Returns. And then you've got fucking like there was a George Miller Justice League movie planned that never got
What
made.
was the Kevin Smith one? The lives.
Yeah, his was
Okay.
because he took over from Superman Flyby, and then he wrote the original draft of Superman Lives. And then when Tim Burton took over, or when sorry, not took over, when Tim Burton became the director, he brought on his own writer to like rewrite the script. And then yeah, so I don't know. It's just there's so many poor decisions that led into the theatrical version of Justice League, and that by the time that the director's cut came out and all of that stuff about Joss Whedon came out, they were still trying to forge ahead with this fucking DCEU that nobody cared about and no one really wanted to watch. Like Aquaman was fine, but then you get into like the sequels to those movies for characters that like no one really cared about in the first place.
And they absolutely
And
gave up on every
and
single
well,
one of
yeah,
them.
and they didn't have a proper introduction either. That's one of the main issues with both versions of Justice League is that it has to do a lot of heavy lifting with introducing the characters because they didn't have their own movies because fucking Warner Brothers wanted to just get to the big team up to start making that $1 billion at the box office. But yeah, so all of that stuff is just it led to the demise of the DCEU, and then James Gunn being brought in to fucking try and pick up the pieces. Oh, and that also doesn't even include the whole fucking Black Adam shit.
Yeah, like we're gonna have to do a whole episode on like DC because of all like they're
Yeah,
just coming out with more stuff about like even Dwayne Johnson's role and like that
yeah,
whole debacle. Like we got to do a whole episode on it because it's fucking crazy. Because just the history of Superman the DC cinematic universe. We're just gonna I'm just gonna call it that for the sake of the argument here, because has James Gunn even named this new DC universe, or
I
have I
think it's just
just
called the DC Universe.
okay? That's what I thought. And so like now we're here in 2025. Many of us have Zack Snyder's DC universe behind us. Many of us don't. Sucks to be them.
Yeah, I still have
Um,
the taste in our mouth of that shit.
yeah, dude. Literally, I thought I hated stepping in it. I hate tasting it even more. Um, but I'll say, just right off the bat, I was pleasantly surprised with how much I enjoyed James Gunn's Superman.
I mean, yeah, I sorry, I shouldn't have said it that way. That sounds like I'm disagreeing with you.
I hate
Um
you. No, you better fucking agree with me, bitch.
yeah, I agree. I mean, I knew walking in that it was probably going to be a good, and I had been hearing good things about it. Obviously we talked about the trailer stuff, but even then I was still very excited to watch it and just see what his take would be. And yeah, I mean, obviously there's issues and we'll get into those, but it's a really fun movie to watch. And I was watching it with my aunt and my sister, and after the movie was over, I looked around for the collective, like, what'd you guys think? And my sister, or well, my aunt was like, "Oh yeah, that was really good. I liked it." And then my sister was just like, "What fucking century is it that we have a good Batman movie and a good Superman movie?" Referring to the Batman that came out a couple years ago. And I just responded to her. I was like, "It's a good one." I'm obviously that's not really true, but in terms of film stuff, like, the DC universe is back, guys. It's back. That's what I've been hearing everyone say.
Well, I definitely think it's I wouldn't say it's back right away. I would definitely say it's a really good starting point, because
Yeah.
right off the bat I just think everyone's so well casted in this film. I'll
Oh
just
my
get it out of the
god,
way. I love David Cornsweet as Superman.
he's so good in it.
He's literally this. I'm not gonna like say he's better than
Christopher Reeve.
Christopher Reeves, but he's
I mean, the
definitely
bar is so
second.
low, though.
The bar's so low. The bar's so low. But like when I think of Superman, I'm definitely gonna just think of him and Reeves
Yeah,
now. And David Cornsweet has nothing but chances to exceed at this point, and
yeah,
that's why I'm so enthusiastic about him.
yeah. And listen, I don't get me wrong. I like Henry Cavill.
I do too.
I really like him as an actor. I've said it before, but it's just I hate the way his character's written in those fucking movies, and all of them except Justice League is different because he's not really in. He's not a focal point of that movie very much, and it's just Man of
He's
Steel is just a
dead.
really weird movie in terms of how it writes, and Batman v Superman is even worse. And I did really annoy me when all of a sudden Superman was back and then he wasn't for the DCEU in that iteration. But yeah, I mean, I like Brandon Routh too in the role. It's just their movies aren't the most interesting to watch, and so I think their performances are bogged down by the weird direction choices and the weird scripts that Warner Brothers chose to greenlight. But yeah, I agree, and we kind of talked about this too when we were talking about the X trilogy, because some people might not remember or know that Superman is in Pearl, and that is a great movie, and I really liked him in this and or in that movie as well.
Well, James Gunn apparently saw that movie, and that was like where he said like this, like he's Superman, right?
I mean, probably, like, I think even I said on the podcast, I was like, oh my god, Superman's in this in this movie, and like I think I could see like the Clark Kent in his performance, because he's a nice guy in that movie.
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of a surface level way of like saying it, but he's a really nice guy, and I felt so crushed when, spoiler alert, I felt so crushed when he dies. I was just like, no, not Superman.
I thought you were supposed to be unkillable, you asshole.
Yeah, the real Superman wouldn't have been killed by a pitchfork, but
But I'll say this right off the bat: Rachel Brosnan's my personal favorite Lois Lane. I think what she brings to the character. I don't know how much you'll agree with that. I don't think I've said that to you yet,
I
but
mean,
I definitely think she blows away Margot Kidder in my opinion. I know people like I've listened to podcasts recently about people like going back on those original films, and like apparently I think it might be controversial that I think that Margot Kidder and Christopher Reeve have the best chemistry in the Donner cut. I didn't think that was like a
oh,
big opinion, but apparently a lot of people like their chemistry in the first one, where I think it's the worst in the first.
oh, in
In
the first
like,
movie or in the
yeah, in the first
theatrical version of
movie.
two?
No, in the first movie, not the
Hmm.
theatrical not the theatrical Superman 2. But dude, David and Rachel just fucking vibe and riz so hard in this film that the first scene you see them in when she comes home and he's in the kitchen making a breakfast for dinner, like bro, they just
I
instantly
love that
click,
scene.
and I love it. Like they just instantly make out, but you could just tell that they're so like they just want to be with each other that you find it more adorable before you even get into like the superhero aspects of it. Even though you do have
Yeah,
like him coming like flying in or like crashing in as Superman, and he
and
has
the
like that
fight and
whole little
whatnot.
fight
Yeah,
in the beginning, but like you get their relationship right off the bat, and I think they do a really good job at like having us invested in. And I think partially is having us just start kind of in the early stages as it. I think they said like what the first 3 months.
yeah. I think it's been 3 months. Um, I mean, yeah, I definitely think it was a good idea for this aspect of of the plot or the movie. Yeah, I think it was a good idea for us to just be thrown into the middle of their relationship as it's starting, because it's, it's kind of that whole thing of like, oh, I don't really need to see the origin story again, and like, we don't need to see Batman's parents die. We don't need to see Peter Parker's uncle die, that kind of stuff.
But bro,
We don't need to see Krypton
both of their
explode.
moms are named Martha, bro. You have to connect it. You gotta connect it.
But yeah, we don't need to see Krypton explode and all that shit again, because we've seen it all. There's been too many movies of us seeing that stuff,
And
and
they've
I
done it in
really
a
the
variety
thing,
of ways too. Like they
yeah,
haven't
and
just done it the same way every time.
yeah, and the thing that I really like about their relationship is that, because I wasn't sure, like, oh, is Lois gonna know who he is immediately? Is it gonna be like a slow build up to her learning it? But then, yeah, no, she just immediately she knows who he is, and I was just like, oh, that's interesting. Like, and I get that there's a lot happening, and so that's probably a part of it was probably a logistical thing as well. But I don't know, it makes their relationship a little more interesting in that, like, oh, they've already been dating for a little while, and that's pretty much the backbone of their entire, like, the arc of their relationship with this movie, and I really liked that. But going back to your comment about Rachel as Lois, I don't mean to say that I don't like her as Lois, because that's not true. I do like her as the character. I can't get a good read on her because she's not the biggest part of this movie, if you know what I mean.
No, that I think that's a fair argument because I think that's where you run into the issues with how you want to like structure this story because it's like you were saying apparently like they don't we're done with these origins. So how do
Yeah.
we start this? Like you develop you pass the development of like how they fall in love. Like they have that love for each other, but now you see the part of the relationship where oh, what do we do with like moving forward with this connection? She isn't good at relationships, but he's just kind of like this up and dandy guy who doesn't understand the consequences of what he's doing. Like, I don't want to say he's being childish because I feel I'm going
I
to
mean, it's a
use
little
that.
naive, yeah.
No, it's naive because I'm going to use the word childish towards another character in a moment.
Oh,
Not in the negative sense that I feel like a
yeah.
lot of people are saying, but he comes off very naive and like I like that aspect of him because
Yeah,
he
he's
grew.
very optimistic.
He's optimistic, but also it's just like people are like, but he grew up in this world. Why is he so naive? But yeah, he also came from Kansas. Like that's my thing is like he's a little farm boy from Kansas who grows up in this small town with these big bigger than life
It's
powers
literally
that
called
he's
Smallville.
exactly like he's never known what to do with them. And now what that I like the beginning of how James Gunn sets up this world with like the 30 years or like 3 decades ago superheroes came, 30
I
years
thought it was
ago
300
Superman
years.
landed. Whatever it was, like the distinct timeline of when
Yeah, yeah,
everything came to be, I thought it was a fast and effective way of just like telling us where we just are as a world, not even just
yeah.
individual characters. Um, but that's the problem is like you lose their
Well,
like
what I meant when I said that is that I don't think it was I don't mean to say that it was a bad thing that we missed out on some of that development, because obviously it ends up not being relevant to like the movie,
no,
and
yeah.
that's not what I mean. I just mean that I didn't get a good read on her take as the character enough to really judge whether or not I think she's better than Margot Kidder. And Margot Kidder isn't even my favorite
I
version of
swear to
Lois
God, if you
Lane.
say fucking what's her name, bro?
Which one? Which one?
Why am
Kate
I
Bosworth?
blanking? Kate Bosworth. Please don't say
No,
Kate.
she's not my favorite.
Oh my
No,
God! Please don't
100% no.
say don't say what's her name from Batman v Superman. Ike. Oh my
Okay, you can't
God,
just list every fucking version
bro. I well, to be fair,
and
I
just be
don't
like,
like
oh, it
any of
can't
them.
be this
I
one.
don't like any of them outside of Margot Kidder. So that I'll
Okay,
put that
so
as a
I don't even
discretion.
know if I want to say this because I know you're probably gonna.
Bro, I'm gonna gas you up. So, bro, you gotta say it now.
Okay, so I mean, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it when we get to Man of Steel. But she's not my
No.
favorite. She's not my favorite.
Oh, thank God.
I honestly, I really don't. I don't like Amy
Oh,
Adams'
is it?
version
Oh,
of.
what's her name from Superman and Lois?
I've never seen that show.
Okay, because I
You're
haven't
just gonna
either.
go
That's
through.
why.
No,
Well, I
keep
was
going.
trying to think.
Keep going. List all of the versions that you can think of. I just
Um, the I didn't watch it, but the Clark, the Superman and not Superman, Clark and Lois. What was
Lois
that
and
Superman?
Clark,
Lois and Clark. Yeah,
The New Adventures of
the
Superman.
New Adventures of
Yeah, never
Superman.
seen that.
Never. I haven't seen that either. Is it? Are we talking about like live action, or are we talking about like?
I've never seen most of the animated ones
That's
either,
right. I
so
forgot
don't
you
even
said that.
include those. I wouldn't be able to tell you who plays
Dude,
them.
I'm forgetting one. Who
You
am I
are
forget?
forgetting.
Who? Okay, tell me. Who am I
You got to know.
forgetting?
You got to think real hard. There's one that you're really forgetting. Okay, I need you to think really hard about it. We've
Damn,
talked
bro.
about this not this version of Lois, but this version of the character of Superman, like the lore.
Oh my God, this is killing me on the inside.
Bro, you literally sent me a reel about it like
I sent
a
you a
week
lot of
ago.
reels, bro.
No, but I mean like it not relating to the new Superman, but you've sent me.
You're gonna say it too, and I'm gonna
Oh
kick
my
my
god,
ass, bro.
bro!
Say it. Just say it. I'm gonna kick my ass.
I'm probably gonna edit this out because I feel like people will judge me for it. But
No,
I
don't.
I like Erica Durance from Smallville. That's my favorite version.
Oh, dude. Okay, you know what? Fair. I mean, I don't hate it. I just don't find it very memorable.
How is
I
it not memorable though?
I mean, I love her. She's great, but like,
No, but I think you love her for a different reason though.
I mean, I'm not gonna say yes or no to that,
I
but
just I think the chemistry between her and Tom Welling as Superman or Clark Kent is much better than any of the other movies. And I get obviously they had like because she came in what season 4 and there's 10 seasons,
yeah,
so there's
like
like
season
six
four or
seasons worth
five.
of chemistry to build.
That's the thing is, I
Um,
like them by the end of the series. I didn't like her in the beginning.
I know, bro. No, okay. I don't want to get bogged down by talking about Smallville, but you and I have to really have a discussion on and off the podcast about Smallville because when she came in, fucking all we had was Lana Lang in Smallville, and her character annoyed the shit out of me.
Really, I
Like just the
liked
way it was
Lana,
written.
bro.
No, I don't
I
hate
was
her.
so
It's just
disappointed.
the way that she's written. And then as soon as Lois came in, I was just like, all right, I need us to switch focus from Lana to Lois.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So um, sorry, that was a bit of a tangent. I agree that I like Lois in this movie, but I can't rank her that much higher over like those other two versions because I haven't gotten a good sense of her version from this movie.
Well, I guess I kind of agree with you in a sense because I feel like I have that issue with the Daily Planet crew as a whole, and
Yeah,
like
it's
I
worse
don't.
with them.
Yeah, and it kind of feel like I get the point of having them in terms of the plot in the story. They just don't physically do
The
much.
only one that makes sense to
Is
me
Jimmy?
is
Is
Jimmy,
Jimmy? Yeah, no, I get that.
and
I thought it was
he's
extra
so
when he's just like
integral.
he, bro. Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to the integrity of like Lex and Jimmy and all that. But like, I thought it was weird when like they were trying to post the story. Perry White's just pointing everyone out to come. I'm like, why are all these people coming?
Well, see, I thought there was going to be a point to that, and then like literally the a cat, the blonde one, which by the way, I don't think her wig is very good, but
It's
that's
such a
neither here
bad
nor there.
wig.
But I don't think anyone was looking at her hair, but um fucking like I don't know. I just as soon as I got in the spaceship, I thought there was going to be like more to that part of the story, and then just never gets brought up ever again.
Hey, they land.
And okay, yeah, sure. And I don't know, it just felt really weird to me and awkward that all of a sudden Perry White is in it, and is he even in any of the other parts of the movie? I don't remember.
I think he has like a 30-second scene where he passes by like Lois or Clark in
Yeah.
the beginning, and that's
I don't know.
really
It just
it.
it felt like a lot of empty space for no reason. Like you have Perry White. I can kind of understand because he's the editor, but then
Yeah, it's
the
everyone
other
else.
the dude from fucking Saturday Night Live. I have no idea why he's in this movie. Like his
Oh, is
character.
that where I've seen that guy from?
Yeah, it's his name's like something Beck or Beck something. I don't fucking remember.
Steven Blackheart?
Hold on, let me
No,
look it
wait,
up.
I'm fried.
He is fuck. Where is he? Of course, it's not showing up. Beck Bennett.
Interesting.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just their characters are so useless in the end. Like they don't do anything. They're not reporting anything from what I can tell. Literally, all that's happening is Lois is driving a spaceship while fucking Jimmy Olsen is just transcribing her report.
Well, Perry like gives the okay.
Yeah, and he's
Like,
like smoking a cigar, and then Beck Bennett is in the back screaming like a girl, and I
and
don't.
Kat's just
Cat
kind of
Grant
there.
literally doesn't do anything.
She's there.
All she does is
It's
at
just to
the
be
end of the movie.
eyepiece. I hate to say it.
Yeah, that's literally it. Like at the end of the movie, all she does is just jump up and down so that we can fucking you know what I'm talking about. Like everyone's been talking about it on Instagram. She literally is just eye candy. It's just it's such a weird. I don't know. It's just so weird.
Yeah, it's whatever. It doesn't do anything. It's just kind of pointless, but it just goes for like that whole crew. And that's the one thing I wish the film had a little bit more of was the Daily Planet like
Yeah.
reporting aspect. Like you had Lois Lane with Mr. Terrific going on and like investigating like the dimensional pockets. But like outside of that, it's not like and you had you had the Jimmy Olsen reporting with Eva Tessmacher
I
in
don't
this
hate that. So
film.
like it sounds like you didn't like that. So I
I
don't mean to
just
say that I hated it.
I
It's
just
just
think it's so utterly ridiculous, but like not in the sense that the rest of the film is utterly ridiculous. Like for me, it just felt so heavy-handed and so in my face that like Jimmy Olsen's just like this sexy stud that every girl's just like prancing after, and that's one thing. But for him to be like, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna sit here and like say that she's hot. But like for Jimmy Olsen to sit here and to be disgusted by Sarah Sampaio, who plays Eve Tessmacher, is absolutely absurd to me. Like I love what's his name? I'm trying to find his name right now. The guy who played Jimmy. It's
oh, fuck, of course they I hate on Wikipedia now. They have all the like they have the names of the people and the characters, but then they go into like detailed descriptions of like the
because
character in
I've
the
seen
movie and whatnot.
Skylar Gisando.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
bro, I'm not saying nothing for nothing. But bro, I do not believe he could bag her for a second. And it's
Well,
not
not only
like
that,
it's
but he
just her.
rejects her. Like he
Yeah,
doesn't.
he's not just rejecting her, but like he's utterly disgusted by her.
Yeah,
And that
he
I'm just
calls her
profoundly
mutant toes. Like that's her
yeah, like
contact
what?
list.
Like what, bro? And like every time I can't think about like when she's sending him the photos and like he's like, "What do you want in return?" She just wants to spend the weekend with my guy, and he's just like, "The weekend? Like, bro, who? Why you don't want to spend the weekend with her? What?" Ah,
I
It's
mean, yeah,
it just
I think
baffles
it was
me.
always meant to be ridiculous, and that's why it's funny. Like I laughed at those moments. Like it's not the worst part of the
I just
movie.
think it's just so utterly stupid, and with everything else going on, it's just like
I mean, the
they
whole movie's kind of goofy
no, I get that, but
in
they
a good
go
way. In
back
a good
to it
way,
so often for it to be kind of so non-consequential
it is
outside.
consequential though.
Mm,
That's why I said it's integral. Like he's integral to the plot of the movie.
I mean, they all. That's what I'm saying. The whole reporting aspect is integral. I just don't think they make anything of it.
Mm.
Like
I
I
mean,
don't
mostly,
I don't
yeah,
think he's really doing any investigating. He just
yeah.
goes to her because he knows her from having sex with her before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and and
Well, I
he
mean, the other thing
literally
too is that
was he
like
even the one that figured out what all the photos meant? Because it seemed like it was Lois that figured it out.
I think it is Lois that points it out. Like, oh yeah, there's stuff in the photos because he thinks they're just
He
selfies.
just thinks she's a stupid bitch. Like, like that's the thing that like kind of confuses me. It's just like he's doing all this, but he really isn't. He's just in the journey for the ride of it. He's being handed all these little bits and pieces to relay back to Lois.
I mean, yeah. I mean, part of it's just because there's so much going on in the movie. Like, it's trying to set up the world. It's trying to, do all this stuff with Lex Luthor and his plan. But then, because of a lot of those writing choices, um I think they had to like create all of this other stuff, and that sounds bad, but I think in the end it works for the movie. Like there wasn't anything that I was like, oh yeah, that was so stupid that it doesn't work, or it made me feel like the movie was devolving into ridiculousness.
I just
um
would have rather them like focus on something different than if like something else rather than like if that was the route that they were going to go with like Jimmy Olsen. You
mm.
know what I mean? Because
I
like,
mean, I think the problem though is that like, what do you do with Jimmy Olsen as a character? Because like, obviously in Batman v Superman, they didn't know what to do with him, so they
he
fucking killed
shot the
him.
bitch and didn't give him a name. Yeah,
And then fucking, and I mean, like even in the original Superman movies, like he doesn't do anything other than like take pictures. And I think it's funny that we never see Jimmy Olsen in this movie take a picture.
with a
But
giant camera. I well, my thing is like I don't know why they just don't team him and Lois up together. Like
mm,
in any of the films, they never team up together. They're always separated, and I don't know why. Because it kind of just seems like a perfect idea to have them working together. Because that's essentially what they're already doing. Like I don't like outside of knowing Superman's identity, I don't know why like Jimmy Olsen can't like figure out all of these things with Lois at the same time because the
mm,
way he talks to Eve is always through text or through call. So it's not like he meets up with her once, but
yeah,
like it's such an inconsequential scene that you could still write around it and have that still play out a different way to fit it. And so you're creating these two different like storylines that have to interconnect that takes up more like screen time like that's more of the reason why like it makes me scratch my head and like I'm not mad about it. I just think like of all things to focus on in this film, like that's the thing you put like heavy, not heavy, but like enough focus on.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think because so much of this movie is about like Superman being Superman, we kind of lose the whole Daily Planet aspect because
You there's no Clark Kent
Clark,
in this
yeah,
film.
Clark Kent is not really like his job as a reporter is essentially not important, and it we don't really see him being a reporter except for like
Well,
one scene.
they joke about it about how he only really got his job because he got like interviews with Superman. Because
Yeah.
Lois is like, how many more interviews are you gonna get with Superman that no one else can get before someone finds out that you're him?
Hmm.
Like, I don't know.
But I don't know. I think some of it, yeah, some of it can definitely feel a little like this movie's not trying to be subtle, and sometimes that
It's
works,
far
sometimes
from
it
it,
doesn't.
actually.
And like I said, sometimes it does feel a little overstuffed. Like you've got the Justice Gang, you've got
Which I
the
liked actually. I enjoyed the Justice Gang
yeah.
stuff, and
I think a lot of people were. were complaining pretty early on when when watching the trailers, like, oh, why is there so many other characters? Like, this movie's not a standalone Superman, and that's not really true. And I like how it uses the Justice Gang, and I think they play off of each other very well. And I know everyone's been like talking about that Mister Terrific scene. It is really good. I just like that for once, like the characters aren't completely useless, like we were talking about with the Daily Planet ones. Like the Justice Gang are like they do something very important at the end of an end of the movie, and I just really enjoyed that all of that stuff. But like I said, it's trying to do a lot, and so that's why it starts with that like title, that text at the beginning, and that's why everything starts like right in the middle of the action. And it's kind of jarring at first, but then you as the movie goes on, it gets more interesting and you understand why it starts like that.
Yeah, you just start to go with it. Let's start talking about some more controversial things, though. Do you want to talk about Jor-El or Lex
Oh,
Luthor first?
let's get Jarell out of the way because it's kind of short. So, yeah, Bradley Cooper is Jarell in this movie, and he's not in it enough to for me to really understand why he's playing this character.
It just made me
And
laugh.
yeah, it is a very like jarring, because like we only see him in like that weird hologram message thing, and obviously the big thing is that Lex Luthor recovers like the missing data from that message, and shows it to the world, in which Jarell Jarell wants him to rule over the planet and restart, or not restart, but continue Krypton's legacy by having, or by taking as many wives as possible.
And impregnating them.
And fucking Lex Luthor calls it a secret harem. And I get that part of it's supposed to be kind of funny, and it's, how do I even, I don't know. I guess I don't really. I think the only way to make this work is to have it just be that. Like you and I have been talking about. There's a bunch of rumors that, oh, it's Brainiac, or it's really Zod. And the Zod one doesn't annoy me as much, but the Brainiac one, I don't know. That would really piss me off if I went and saw another movie and it turns out that it was Brainiac.
Yeah, like this like twist in the story of like Superman coming to Earth needs to stay like this. Like if you're saying this, commit to it. Don't go back on your
Well,
like
the
don't
other thing too is that they don't. It doesn't get resolved by the end of the movie, and so now it feels like it just has to be permanent.
Yeah, and that's the confusing part too, is because the film directly like retells you that it's true multiple
Several
times
times.
after, because they know that like no one's gonna believe them when like they first say like, bro, Mr. Terrific's like, oh yeah, I have like all the world's best like analyst on this, like transcribing it, like it's true. And I'm like,
Mm.
bro, how the fuck you guys like do this for this like fucking
Verify the
Kryptonian?
validity of a
Yeah, like
Kryptonian
Kryptonian
message.
message, which I'm like, one, so fast that Superman couldn't do, and like two, it just, I don't mind it. I kind of like it because I think James Gunn gives a good purpose to it by the end of this film,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
think it gives a good. I think it makes his version of Superman stand out from the rest, which I think helps this version. Um, but like I said, I think all of these feelings and emotions towards it rely on if they decide to keep it like this or if they go towards like what you mentioned with Brainiac or General Zod kind of feeding false like misinformation, because James Gunn does that quite frequently where he like kind of trolls like the media trolls or like
yeah.
what the
There's
media
another moment in this movie
says.
where he does that.
Dude, I'm not. I've said it before, but I'm not talking about those fucking monkeys. I'm sorry. My opinions on them are bad, and they shouldn't exist.
Hashtag super shit. Hashtag secret harem.
Literally
But
so
yeah, no,
fucking
I
bad.
I agree with you that I think by the end of the movie it works. Like it might come off as a little weird when you first hear it. Um and obviously your first instinct is to be like, "Oh, that's not real," because it's kind of been like hammered into our head with every other version that that's not true. But I think the reason why it's not really that big of a deal is because it doesn't really change anything. And it also, he utilizes it to give Superman kind of this identity crisis that is resolved by the end. Like the whole idea is that it's not, he's humanized by being raised on Earth,
Yeah.
and that's the important part. So, anyways, yeah, I know you have thoughts and opinions about Lex Luthor. So, do you want to you want to get into that?
Okay, so don't hear what I'm not saying, but
What does that even mean?
I I like Nicholas Holt, and
Yeah, he's good in the role.
I
He's
think
good in the
he's a good
role.
actor, and like
He's an
I do
amazing
see him
actor.
as Lex. I'm not saying like he's a bad Lex.
Yeah.
I just don't like the interpretation that was written for this like film. I feel like now that
Which
by
one
the
do you
end,
like though?
so that to be honest, it's another thing. I'm not really a big fan of really any of them outside of
Yeah.
fuck, what's his name from the
Please say
original?
Smallville.
Yeah, no, not Smallville, bro. I mean, I do like
Gene
him,
Hackman.
but not as like yeah, Gene Hackman. But like, I do enjoy him. I think he's a pretty decent Lex Luthor. But like, I still think like Gene Hackman is like Lex Luthor to me. I think he plays what I view Lex to be between more maniacal and Joker because he feels like he always has the higher end,
Mm.
where Lex in this film feels like once he knows he doesn't have like the higher end of the stick, he starts to lose control of his emotions. And like I get it, it's supposed to be a younger version, but like
He's a hater.
he really is just a hater, and that's why I also don't like the monkey thing is because it feels like just like
Meta
to,
commentary.
it is meta commentary and it feels like more that Lex is just the villains of the people that hate James Gunn
Mm.
rather of the villain that hates Superman. And the whole time, I think I said this to you. I don't remember if I said this to you or that podcast I went on. But for me, I'm kind of dissociated between the Lex and Superman rivalry because the whole time, most of the rivalry was online due to Lex up until like the first time they meet in this film. And
Mm.
so when they first meet, like yeah, Superman has like his little rage and like throws the fucking desk, but like most of the time, Superman just thinks so little of him. He doesn't think much of him, and that's more my issue. I don't feel like Superman views him as a threat. And so whenever like Lex is like writing these notes with like the codes to like punch him using Ultraman, I'm sitting there like, okay, these are a bunch of meaningless punches that is only like a weight for weight punch, and like he keeps like, I'm outsmarting you, Superman. You will not beat the brain over Brawn. Meanwhile, it's just like, okay, but a dog just like snatches a few of your cameras. And like, bro, you didn't think about putting a camera like in the chest of Ultraman, but you put your speaker there instead. Like the whole time I'm supposed to be like brain over brawn, but it's literally just brawn over brain. Like, bro, you're a fucking idiot. I'm sorry. Like, I don't think this Lex Luthor is very intelligent, and he lets his emotions like dictate everything he does.
um, where do I begin?
You're
I
wrong,
mean,
you little bitch.
yeah, you're wrong, Ryan.
Just send your monkeys after me.
every sentence of every word that you just said is wrong.
But like, I'm also not saying like he's the worst thing in the world, and like
Yeah.
I don't view him as like a bad Lex. I just think he has like room to improve, and I think like they're like I can see where he goes from here.
So I liked him for the most part. I agree. I kind of agree with what you're saying, but I'm yeah. Obviously, a lot of this is kind of a meta commentary on like the whole stuff with James Gunn and people, the Snyder fans, and all that stuff. But I mean, I still get the sense that a lot of it is about like character wise. A lot of it is more that. Lex just doesn't think that Clark is or sorry, not Clark, that Superman's human. Like he's like that part where he's like Superman, like he's not a man, he's an it. Like that stuff goes a long way for me. Like and the point was never to focus on so much of his motivations. And I definitely feel like in this version Lex is a lot more intimidating. And going off your point, I think like I don't know. I feel like it's hard sometimes for people to understand that, you know, Superman can have trouble with like a non superpowered villain. And I think they do a good job of making Lex be a good villain in this movie. My problem is just that I'm getting really tired of seeing Lex Luthor in these movies. Like even with all that said, that was the one thing that I really wasn't looking forward to in this movie because Lex is he's never been the most interesting character for me in any of the other movies, and part of that's just because he's not been handled well. Like Batman v Superman is just his Lex Luthor in that movie is horrible. It's
We
probably
don't,
the
bro.
worst
We don't even
one.
acknowledge him as Lex Luthor.
And
Like,
I like Gene Hackman. I liked him a lot more in when we did this last episode when I was rewatching it. But my problem is just that a lot of the times he's too silly for me to kind of take seriously. And it's fine in Superman 2 because he's not like the main villain. But when I first watched Superman the movie, I really didn't like him because he was just like comic relief. And it didn't make sense to me why the villain would be, you know, comic relief. Because it just deflates any tension you could have. But I like what they do with the dynamic with Superman and Lex in this movie. I think it works for the most part. But I am really I really want the filmmakers to move away from Lex Luthor. Like I just want I know we talked about like the whole Brainiac message thing earlier, and that's not to say that I'm opposed to Brainiac being the villain in one of the Superman movies, because that's not true. Every fucking failed Superman movie that there's ever been, they've thought about making Brainiac the villain, and it's just never come to fruition. And I would love to see him in one of these movies as the villain. I just want to see something new. It's the guy. That's what I'm trying to say. It's gotten to the point where I really want to see something different, and I'm not getting that with Zod or Lex anymore.
I agree. I agree with you there too, because you brought that up a few days ago, and I think that might also add to my disdain with like this Lex Luthor. And I think it doesn't even just go for Lex; it goes for all the villains in this movie because Ultraman is like I don't know why James Gunn seemed to make it think it was like a giant reveal at the end that it was like a clone of Superman, especially
Mm,
when most of the time most of the people just like know Superman stories, and like at least Bizarro seems to be like a pretty infamous character in terms of like the Superman mythology, and everyone knows it's like an evil version of Superman. And for me, it just like it seemed like a pretty bland and boring setup for that character that just existed in this film because James Gunn didn't know how to make Lex a villain without having to need to like beat Superman fist for fist. Going back to like that brain over brawn thing. And fucking the engineer just kind of felt like a nothing. Like she was cool. I liked her abilities, but like most of the time she was just kind of like in the background. I didn't really care and she was only there to like really get the message at the end at the end of the day.
yeah. Yeah, I mean those are valid points. I liked Ultraman and the engineer in them, and you know, one of the things that I really don't like about the other Superman movies is the action is really bad, and so I was just glad to see like you know fight scenes in
Actual
this movie
action.
that were good because Man of Steel is has a lot of action. I just don't think it's done very well.
You don't see most
Batman
of
v
it, bro.
Superman is there's 15 minutes of action, and you know the 15 minutes is good. It's just you have to waste 3 hours to get to it. And then Superman Returns has like little to no action as well. So I don't know. I liked those aspects here. I think they work for what little the plot requires of them. And I figured Ultraman was going to be a clone. Like I thought that's where it was going. Obviously, I knew Ultraman. Like traditionally, he's not a clone. He's like an alternate universe version, and yeah, they were already like have the whole like pocket dimension thing. So I don't know. It was a 50-50 on whether or not it was going to be a clone or an alternate universe version. I like the clone angle more. Like um, I feel like that's leading into the setup of Bizarro, and I think that's a more interesting path to take because we've never really seen Bizarro in a Superman version or a Superman movie either. And I think just having like an alternate universe version would not be very interesting. Like, oh, Superman's evil. Like that thing, I'm not super sold on. If that makes sense.
No, I agree, and I think that ultimately goes to like now like what comes next, and that's where like my I don't want to say frustration, but more of my confusion comes in because I agree
Mm.
with you say. I think like Bizarro is cool and all, and I would prefer watching a Bizarro versus Superman movie, but like when is that gonna come? Because James Gunn's already like said in an interview that like he hasn't said directly that there's not going to be a sequel, but like he was using like that Kevin Feige wordplay where it's just like you'll see him again in a project, but like it's not like
Superman will
yeah,
return
it's just like Superman
in
will return.
Avengers Endgame.
Exactly, and that's more of my thing is because like now we look at the slate because like it's what Peacemaker season two,
There's a lot actually.
Supergirl, Lanterns.
Hey, maybe they'll
Um,
come back in Supergirl.
hey, he might come back in Clayface for all I fucking know. Um, but then you got Brave and the Bold, which people know no clue what's going to happen with that. You have Swamp Thing, which there's no script for. You have that Waller TV show that doesn't have a script. Paradise Lost, that like all these things that like seem like they're leading. They're all individual projects leading up to something that I think James Gunn said that we're going to know more about what that is in the Lantern show, which, sure, I get that means something for the broader universe, but I don't know what this means for the Superman character going forward looking at this list because I don't think the Green Lantern show is going to tell me where I'm going to see like Superman next or like what he's going to be up to because for all I know, we're going to see him in the Justice League movie in 5 years from now, you know?
Hmm. I don't know. I don't know.
So I don't know what those payoffs are going to look like going
Yeah,
forward.
yeah. It's hard to judge them based on just this one movie because it's happened too many times with Marvel, where something's been set up and it just never gets resolved.
I mean, bro, they're literally talking about a fucking Jimmy Olsen show. Like, what are we doing?
That one actually, I would be interested in watching, but
Dude, stop! Just please don't encourage them, Leo. Don't. I'm gonna shut this shit down. Like, okay, over that or a Mr. Terrific show, what would you rather watch? For me, Mr.
Mr.
Terrific,
Terrific, yeah.
right? Apparently, that was two
I'm not
shows they were.
opposed to the idea of a Jimmy Olsen show.
I,
That's what I'm
I don't
saying.
know when there's so many other characters to introduce and to like start establishing. Like he's already said, Aquaman and the Flash aren't for the next few years. But like, why are we wasting time on a Jimmy Olsen show? I'm sorry. Like,
Mm.
brother, I get you want to set up a universe, you want to take it slow, but like the world, everything revolves like in a timely manner. You know, we don't have all the time in the world. If we did, I'd love that. But like, come on, people want to see a Flash movie after that disastrous one. People want to see a good fucking Batman film. Like, no, I don't want to see Jimmy Olsen come back in his own project. Like, I think I like him. I want to see him come back in other projects, but I can't sit here and say like I'm gonna support that when like you're gonna make. Like, I love Swamp Thing and Clayface, but like, why are those are the things you're focusing on? And I know it's more budget friendly, but like, if your plan is to go to Justice League, which is like what they've said, then start doing that. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to have like a Justice League where it's like three Green Lanterns, a Superman, Wonder Woman, and then that's it.
Batman.
Not even Batman because they don't even fucking know what they're gonna do with him yet.
Well, they don't know what they're doing with Wonder Woman either.
Well, that was also the. Did you hear about that? Apparently, that they're fast tracking Superman, Wonder
Wonder
Woman.
Woman. Yeah.
So in my eye, that makes me think that they want to get Wonder Woman much faster on its legs than like Aquaman, Batman, The
Well, I
Flash.
mean, there's no movies slated for Aquaman or the Flash. It's literally
That's my point.
Superman and then Batman and Wonder Woman. So those three, the
But
you know
they're
the
struggling with
Trinity.
Batman projects, and even the story is going to be an older Batman. So if it's an older Batman, do you really think he's going to take part in Justice League,
I
where
mean, he
he's like
could like Ben Affleck's version was older.
he was older, but like the way he's talking about it is like Batman Beyond. That's the way like I'm envisioning it.
I don't know if they do that, but
I know it's not the same story with the Brave and the Bold where he's teaching like a younger Robin,
Robin.
but like from bro, in the Brave and the Bold, the dude's like fucking 50. You know what I mean? Like he's not like some fresh fruit that we're seeing with Robert Pattinson. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And like if you're leading up to all these intergalactic foes, why do you want a 50-year-old Batman fighting with you, especially when they don't know each other by the looks of it? No one even mentions like Bruce Wayne or like the Wayne Foundation in this, which I'm not saying you
I
need
mean, I
to.
wouldn't want them to.
No, I'm not
That
saying
would suck.
you need to, but like my point is, right now it just seems like it's like half-ass Justice League that they're just gonna call Justice League.
Mm.
Because like, bro, they're
I mean,
already.
I don't think that's
I
gonna
don't want three
happen.
Green Lanterns introduced, bro. Like, do you want three Green Lanterns like roaming around that fucking Justice League film?
I don't know. I don't know much about Green Lantern. I don't know. I think you're getting a little too far ahead of yourself.
No, I am. I definitely
I
am.
don't think that's how things are going to play out.
I hope not.
I don't think James Gunn would would do that. I think we're gonna get the necessary stuff to lead into Justice League
I'm
whenever that happens.
cautious. That's all I'll
And there
say.
hasn't even been a Justice League movie announced either. So
Well, it's been semi-announced. The dude's already said that's where he wants to lead up
well, no, but I mean,
to.
obviously that's where it's gonna go.
I just don't. I don't know, bro. I'm cautiously excited. Like I like the projects that are coming out. Like I'm excited for Superwoman. I'm excited to see Green Lanterns. I just don't know like what the vision is, and this film doesn't like help set that.
Well, I don't know. I think that's the thing that I like about this movie is that it's not really trying to set up the next one. It's just trying to
But
be
it is
its
in a
own.
sense though.
Well, I mean, in terms of world building, yes, but it's not like Batman v Superman that's trying to actively set up Justice League, and it's not like a lot of the other Marvel movies that are so hyper focused on like, oh, this leads into the next one, this leads into the next one, this leads into the next Avengers. You know what I mean?
I don't know. It feels like he does that often in this film. I mean, you have a Supergirl cameo at the end. You have his brother cameo as Maxwell Lord, the Pedro Pascal character from Wonder Woman 1984, who has like his little statement about Lex Luthor getting arrested, who created the Justice Gang. Like, there's all these little pieces that have already been dropped. You know?
Well, no, yeah, I mean, but again, that to me feels more like world building and not about because with Batman v Superman, a lot of that focuses so much on like setting up the mother boxes and setting up Steppenwolf and all that stuff, and like you have the more useless cameos with
You didn't
the
like the
Aquaman
Flash
and
and
Flash
Aquaman
and
cameos, bro?
no,
You
but
didn't
I
like
mean
him?
in this one
That's weird,
it
bro.
feels less forced.
I agree.
So
It feels better
yeah,
woven in.
there's
Um,
a difference between world building and just throwing it in your face, like, oh look, these things are here.
this
Yeah,
movie's
these are going to
doing,
become important later. You should remember these.
for all things considered, though, this film's doing pretty well.
Yeah, it's made over
From
like
box
four hundred
office,
dollars or four hundred dollars.
it's
It's
made
made over four hundred
416
dollars.
million.
Yeah, it's made almost back an entire budget.
Yeah, and considering what's going on in the world, like not a lot of people like the Americans right now. So the international gross hasn't been what they hoped. So give or take like all that, or like if they break even with this film, like in the next week, which now is when I think you start to get scared because you have Fantastic Four coming out.
Yeah,
You still have Jurassic World in the box office. Like, I know that's not gonna be
I
the
don't
end
think that
all
has an
be all,
effect.
but like, bro, when you have all three out at the same time, it takes traction away from you. You know, it's one more thing that has people's attention that I don't think you'd want. So now I'm curious to see what it does this third weekend. That it, you know, what it like Jurassic World still like, bro. What is that shit made? I'm afraid to look because it's a piece of shit. Oh my god, dude! I wish I didn't look up how much this movie grossed.
How much?
650 million,
Damn, that's actually pretty good.
and the budget was 180. Yuck! I want to throw up, bro. That should be illegal. Now, give or take, it's not as good as the others, but still, fuck me, right in the ass. I hate that.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any. I don't know if I have much else to talk about with this
No,
film.
yeah, let's just go into our final wrap ups and opinions, and then talk about what we're talking about next week.
You go first.
All right, I'm actually looking up the review right now because I have to go back to my first one to get the review. Okay, I gave Superman 4 stars out of 5, and then my reviews, I got scared at the end for a second when I thought Lex was actually bald. Just because I always find it funny when I go back to that original Superman film and he's
He's
got
wearing
the
wigs.
toupee, like the wig toupee on, like it's just always so funny.
Yeah,
But no, I honestly, bro, I think this is what I view as Superman. Um, I know we didn't mention it at all in this review, but I think when it comes to iconic imagery of what you view as Superman, I think this film pretty much has it all. The image of him coming out after saving the woman from the
oh
falling
yeah,
like building
and all
with
the
the sun,
dust.
yeah, with the dust, like with the music, like dude, I'll say this, like I don't get emotional during films very often, but that part had me choked the fuck up because you there's not many films that can make you feel the inspiration in a way that I think this film can do. And I think it's coming at a time where I think a lot of people need that inspiration for what's going on in the world.
Yeah,
Um, so I thought it hit all the right notes there, and like I really loved it for those. And it really, but when I came out, I said to myself, "Wow, that's fucking Superman." And I think that's all you really needed at the end of the day. I love David Cornsweet. I loved so much that this movie did, and I really got to give a lot to James Gunn because it's hard to come in, especially with what he was given when coming in. Not an easy task, so I give him a lot of credit. And now I'm more curious to see what he does next in terms of the DC cinematic universe, because like I feel like he's gonna take a step back and really only deal with Superman projects like Justice League, whatever Superman appears in, is he'll have like a heavy say in it. But outside of that, I think we'll take more of a step back and let creatives be creative.
yeah. I also gave this movie a 4 to 5. So it's I don't know. I think I still prefer the original Superman movie with Christopher Reeve, but I mean this one is really good too. Like it's a really fun movie. I was laughing. Yeah, I was laughing. I felt inspired by this version of the character in a way that I never felt with the previous versions.
It gave you hope.
Yeah, it's a very optimistic movie, and I really liked that. And it's the action is really great. It's very yeah, it's very thrilling throughout the entire runtime. I liked pretty much most of the other superhero characters. I know we didn't talk about Metamorpho very much, but he's not in it very much, but I liked him as well. The Justice Gang, Nathan Fillion is Green Lantern, bruh.
Boston. I thought
Yeah,
he was
that's fucking great.
funny.
I love Nathan
So
Fillion.
good.
He's a great actor, and he's great in this movie too. Hawk Girl isn't a very big aspect of it, and I'm more curious to see what happens with her character in later installments. But yeah, just overall, a very solid movie. It takes some interesting turns, but it all works out in the end. And I'm excited to watch this again when it comes out on like HBO Max. Yeah, which yeah, it's HBO Max now again, guys.
Yeah, it's definitely
Um,
going to be a rewatch movie.
yeah, no, this is definitely one like that I'm because a lot of the other Superman movies I don't really return to that often, like Man of Steel and Superman Returns and all that stuff. But this one I'm excited to return to and really solidify what I think of it as a movie.
Yep. Leo, what do you got on the schedule for us next week?
All right. Um, Next week we are talking about. This one's gonna be interesting. We're talking about the. Okay, I'm gonna say this, but you have to let me explain. Okay, we're talking about the first three Fantastic Four movies, and I know, I listen. I know that there was technically that one from like the '70s or whatever, but it doesn't count because it was never officially released. So we're talking about the first two Fantastic Four movies from the 2000s, and then we're gonna talk about
Fan Four
fan
Stick.
four stick, yeah.
Dude,
From
I'll never forget that name. It's just ingrained in my fucking head. I
and I've
dude,
so I've never
no
seen that
fucking
version.
way, bro.
So
You've never seen
this is
it?
gonna be a new experience for me. I heard really bad things about it and I never watched it. But
Wow.
we're gonna get into it. Um, yeah, obviously it's Fantastic Four First Steps coming out, so we're going to talk about Fantastic Four.
Sweet. Thank you guys so much for listening. Let us know down below what you thought of Superman that came out in 2025 this summer, made by James Gunn. Did you agree? Did you disagree? What did you like? What did you not like? Let us know down below. And don't forget to leave a comment and a like. That was a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. And we'll see you next week on the next one. Peace.